The Raiders are riding a win into Arrowhead. Can they stun the Chiefs at home? Rhett Lewis tells us how. And NFL Media's Steve Wyche stops by to tell us why a heavy dose of Ashton Jeanty could equal victory. Plus, Patrick Mahomes calls him the best pass rusher he's ever faced. All-world defensive end Maxx Crosby is here in studio. The Silver and Black show starts now. Welcome into the Silver and Black show. I'm Theoharis. Even after last week's win, the Raiders aren't getting a lot of respect from the odds makers. They enter this matchup with the Chiefs as a 12.5-point underdog. And look, they haven't earned that respect. They need to prove they can beat a good team, and the Chiefs are just that, especially after beating the 4-2 Lions convincingly last week. But here's a fun fact. The last time the Raiders were double-digit dogs, they went into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day 2023. So how do they pull it off again? Our good friend, NFL Media's chief national correspondent, Steve Wyche. Steve, it's always good to see you. I know that you're looking forward to this because, look, we've seen the Raiders upset the Chiefs in recent years, and both of these teams are coming off of a win. The Chiefs, after a slow start, are seeming to find their groove. What's going to be the first thing you will look for from both teams in this matchup?
Well, look, it's going to be a matter, Rashee Rice is coming back for Kansas City. So how are the Raiders going to defend this offense that seemingly has come alive the past 2 weeks? Are they going to pressure them? Are they going to sit back in certain coverages? So that's going to be the main thing, because we've seen Patrick Mahomes is playing at such an elite level. Maxx Crosby, him and Patrick have got that great relationship we saw so much on the quarterback series. Like, Max is really going to have to be in his ear and possibly in his head to create some pressures to force some mistakes.
Yeah, the first time Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce are on the field since September of last year, so have to look out for that. But look, the run game, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher on the team, and even though the Raiders' run defense has done very well against running backs, they have not done very well against mobile quarterbacks. So how are they going to key in and contain Patrick Mahomes?
Well, it's a little different with Patrick because none of his runs are scheduled, right? Most of his runs are just, okay, receivers are covered. I'm going to run with their playing man coverage or do what I can do. So it's a little bit different in that regard. It's not Lamar. It's not somebody like that, like a Josh Allen type of running quarterback. But they just got to keep the Chiefs in front of them. Like, and when I say that, the secondary can't get beat deep. They've got to force everything underneath. Now, the Chiefs are more than willing to play that type of football. But when you do that, that clogs up some of the running lanes, because we have seen, their running backs, run much better. Kareem Hunt has been better the past couple weeks. So what they've done is they've kind of, their offensive line actually played better last week against the Lions, and we've seen them play in a while. Pacheco hit some runs. Hunt hit some runs. So that's just a matter of physicality and being disciplined. But again, keeping the passing game in front of them will just clog up that center of the field and kind of limit some of the runs that they can have.
Do you feel like this Raiders defense, though, is a defense on the rise based on what you've seen, especially last week with Devin White having such a big game?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. That was one game. They've got to be consistent. We've seen some highs and lows from them, the way they played, against Washington. We saw some holes there, but we saw some good things there. So if there's some consistency at all three levels, I think that's when people really start to buy in that they're on the rise. We know up front, they've got players up there leading with Maxx Crosby, but at all three levels, they've got to play more on a thread, I think, for them to kind of really start to establish themselves as a good defense.
Yeah, the secondary is going to be tested early. We know that. They need to step up. On the other side, the Chiefs' run defense, they haven't been stellar. They haven't been bad, but if there maybe is a weak link in that defense, it might be the run defense. Do you think we get a heavy dose of Ashton Jeanty from Chip Kelly? And if so, is there a concern that they might become predictable and a little one-dimensional?
Fine. Fine. Like, people said that about when Pete was coaching the Seattle Seahawks with Marshawn Lynch. They're a Marshawn Lynch-led team. Fine. Give the ball to your best player. Give them a heavy dose of Ashton Jeanty. And if they bottle up the run, get them some swing passes. Find some ways to get the ball in his hands, especially with Brock Bowers being nicked up the way he is. To me, there's no science with it. Our best guys are running back. We're going to get him the ball and find a way. Now, the Chiefs' run defense, especially last week against the Lions, started to show up. This is why I think a lot of people are starting to be like, okay, here come the Chiefs, because their defense finally played like their defense typically plays. Chris Jones showed up, Karlaftis showed up, Nick Bolton showed up, Drew Tranquil showed up. That front seven, if they continue to play like that, it is going to be tough. But the Raiders need to stop confusing anything about who they are, establish the identity that starts with Ashton Genty.
No doubt. All right, give me a bold prediction in this matchup.
A bold prediction?
Any prediction. What do you think's going to happen?
Oh, well, the bold prediction is, the Raiders force at least 2 takeaways and come away with a victory. I think getting some takeaways and forcing those types of miscues, whether they're forced fumbles, whether interceptions, is how they stay in this game. Because as you mentioned, they go to Kansas City and they've won before, like when they weren't supposed to win. But it's going to take this defense getting some takeaways, maybe even taking a scoop and score to the house, something like that, for them to have an opportunity here.
That's how they won it back in 2023. All right, before we let you go, I know I've known you a long time. You're a proud Howard alumni. I grew up attending, the Howard homecomings. I'll never forget that in the D.C. area. So much fun. There's really nothing like it. And now Las Vegas is going to host the inaugural HBCU Classic between Grambling State and Jackson State. It's coming up next week on October 25th at Allegiant Stadium. It's going to celebrate the rich legacy of HBCUs. So what is the significance of this event?
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, and especially for the Raiders, someone who's near and dear to our heart, Willie Brown, is a Grambling alum, the late Willie Brown, who was such a great player, for the Raiders. But you've got two of the legacy, two of the goalpost, organizations there with Jackson State. People think the modern Jackson State with Dion and Shador and Travis Hunter. But let's not forget, on one team at Jackson State, they had Jackie Slater, Walter Payton, and Robert Brazile. 3 Pro Football Hall of Famers, 3 Black College Football Hall of Famers. They were the standard, but Grambling was the standard before them. You've got the Doug Williams, you've got the James Shack Harrises, you've got clubs like that. Grambling has finally started to turn a corner with its program, but Jackson State is the #1 Black college football program. They've got the likely player of the year in their quarterback, Jacobian Morgan. They've got a couple guys, especially on the defensive side, who you might see playing on Sundays next year. So an incredibly talented team at Jackson State, and then the overall program in Grambling that seems to be turning the corner. And to play at Allegiant, again, with the Raiders' history, especially with Black college graduates, people like Art Shell, who came from Black colleges, who played for the Raiders. This is such a great potential occasion, location, and the absolute proper organization to be hosting a classic like this between 2 pillars of Black college football.
And you're right, it is so fitting that the Raiders are hosting this event. Al Davis really was a leader, and not just, recruiting HBCU players, but also within the building, giving opportunities to people that didn't look like him. And that was very rare back then. And that's why the Raiders have always been a leader in that. This is, again, for everybody, if you want to get tickets, it's October 25th, Allegiant Stadium. It's a rivalry, Grambling State, Jackson State. For those that didn't grow up in the DMV like me or go to Howard like you, they've never been to a HBCU game, what should they expect?
Well, this is even different, right? These are 2 SWAC rivals, Southwestern Athletic Conferences, and in the SWAC, football is a little bit different because these schools are made up mainly in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, right? So this is where football lives. So when you go to a Black college football game, it's not just a game, it's an event, right? You're going to have the tailgating is going to be insane, but the marching bands, right? The marching bands are where it's at. In Grambling and especially Jackson State have 2 of the best marching bands in all of college athletics. I don't want to hear about Dot in the I at Ohio State when you've got the Sonic Boom and all these great marching bands that come. So usually about 20 to 25-minute halftimes with these marching bands. Afterwards, the marching bands tend to have a battle of the bands, usually the drum lines. Think of the Nick Cannon movie. That happens at HBCU's post-game. So it's just an incredible theater. You're going to have the marching bands blowing during the game. They're going to be playing neck. You're going to have the dancing squads. You're going to have the fan bases. And the one thing I love about Black college football is I wish people who didn't go to HBCUs, be they Black, be they white, be them Latino, be in Polynesian, whatever, can go and attend to see. This is more of like a family reunion type of event than an actual football game, even though there should be some good football played between the lines during this classic.
And I'll tell you, if you get there early, sometimes in the parking lot, you might see a step show. You might see the Omegas out there throwing down, and that's always a good time. I remember it from my childhood. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. I know you always represent HBCUs, and we appreciate you breaking down this matchup. It's good to see you, my friend.
You too, Amber.
All right, coming up. Winning the turnover battle is key. How can Geno Smith step up? Rhett Lewis joins us next on the Silver and Black Show.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Is there something more fabulous? I need something to chase, something to melt this face. I need Las Vegas. It's too much and never enough. Oh, welcome to fabulous. It's spectacular, outrageous, impossible stuff. You'll stop and yell, welcome to fabulous.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
This fall, history hits the Strip. It's the first annual Las Vegas HBCU Classic. Saturday, October 25th at the iconic Allegiant Stadium. Grambling State University goes head-to-head with Jackson State University on the football field. But it's more than a game. It's a celebration of HBCU culture and the ultimate Vegas energy, all weekend long. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and be part of history in the making.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Victory Live, connecting the world of live experiences. And by 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly. Welcome back. The Raiders look to stack back-to-back wins as they head to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs, a divisional matchup. And to break it down, our second guest, Rhett Lewis from NFL Media. Also, you can catch him on the Raiders NFL Draft Podcast come draft season. Rhett, good to see you, my friend.
Great to be with you, Amber. Always love hanging out with my my Raider Nation fans and fan family, and excited to talk about a matchup that the Raiders have had some success with in recent years against this Chiefs team, but this feels like a different version of KC. They're playing some good football right now.
Yeah, they're trending up, but you know what? The Raiders, like I said, coming in with a win. It was clear though last week that win. One of the reasons it happened, it seemed Chip Kelly was more conservative. Geno Smith only threw for 174 passing yards. He still threw an interception. But can they continue to play it safe against the Chiefs, or will they have to take some shots downfield against a tough secondary?
Yeah, look, I'd love to get Dante Thornton rolling, right? Love to get Trey Tucker down the field. You know, I think Chip Kelly knows, you know, those aspects of this offense are going to come and need to come in order to get where they ultimately want to go. But I think that, you know, I think you're seeing just, you know, the experience of Chip Kelly and understanding where he needs to go to get the most out of his offense and his players for a win this week, right? Mm-hmm. And look, I think when you see that Geno was turning it over more than he had, right, in you know, when he was in Seattle, you know, playing really good football, we saw that, you know, those turnovers were minimized, but now they kind of started creeping back in. So how do we reset that? All right, let's rein it back in a little bit. Let's take some of the attempts off the plate. And look, let's feed, our stud running back and Ashton Genty. And, listening to Coach Pete Carroll, this week, yeah, that 20 plus carries mark is where Genty needs to live. And while the yards per carry is not quite where it's probably going to be, I think the more you feed him, the more he's going to kind of showcase the ability he has to break tackles, which is already at the very top of the league, Amber. And then obviously, he's been so good in yards after contact. Keep feeding Genty, keep minimizing mistakes and opportunities for mistakes. And I think you're finding a path forward, at least until you get guys healthier like Brock Bowers coming back into the lineup.
Yeah, it's also going to be a tough matchup, though. The Chiefs defense, even though you look at the numbers, they're giving up about 120 yards a game. They played much better in the last couple of weeks with stopping the run. Let's get back to the Raiders offense. When you're leading the league in interceptions and you're going against a top 8 pass defense, obviously Ashton Genty, the run game, is going to be important. But do you think we're going to see a lot of Michael Mayer underneath to mix it up, kind of like we saw last week that was very effective?
Yeah, and I think, his ability as a receiver has kind of been overlooked a little bit since, the Raiders drafted Brock Bowers in the first round 2 years ago. So, I certainly understand that, right? But I think the other piece of this is love to get Mike Mayer involved. And then, I think seeing Jack Besh in more favorable situations is something that I'm kind of excited about. 2 weeks ago, saw him get a number of targets, make a few catches, and was a little bit more involved in the offense than he had been for much of the season. I still think a big physical body at receiver can mimic some of the things you used to get from Bowers when he was healthy, and can get as well with Michael Mayer. Obviously playing different positions, but ultimately trying to achieve the same goal. So yeah, Mayer working in the middle of the field and kind of helping with some of those high percentage passes. As you minimize attempts in the pass game, I think is really important. But I'd love to see a little bit more from Jack Besh in those types of scenarios as well.
Yeah, I think you're not alone. And he said that he's excited to be out there and contribute. The Raiders' offensive line has to play better. We know Colton Miller is not going to be out there. Jeffrey Simmons was an issue from Tennessee last week. This week it's Chris Jones. How does the Raiders, especially the interior and particularly the left side, match up with what's going to be a pretty nasty pass rush?
Look, you just got to understand, you got to understand what the challenge is. And look, I think, Brennan Carroll and obviously, Chip Kelly will come up with a plan, to put those guys in the best possible, situation to have success. But when it comes down to it, at some point, you're going to have to win some one-on-one matchups, right? You're going to have to beat the guy in front of you. You're going to have to create, a little bit of a daylight for Ashton Genty. You're going to have to give Geno Smith, a little bit extra time. At some point, it's not all about scheme. These are professionals, really good players, from Delmar Glaze all the way down, DJ Glaze all the way down to Stone Forsythe, stepping in for Colton Miller. Like, to a man, yeah, they got to understand that it's time to step up, and it's time to kind of figure out their best path forward there. So I think there's some scheme things that can be done, but I think also it's just about understanding that you got to, at some point, you got to win your matchups, and they got to do that more often in this game against KC.
Yeah, or else you won't be out there very long.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, the Raiders have seen Devin White emerge as a leader on the defense this season, had a great game last week. What has he brought to this front seven? Because we talked a lot about the defensive line a lot, and now it's kind of like we're talking about the front seven.
Yeah, well, look, I think when you talk about this linebacker group, I think John Spytek and Pete Carroll have done a phenomenal job in kind of recreating it, right, with Landon Roberts and with Devin White and whenever Jamal Adams is in those situations and even Jeremy Chin coming downhill as well. But yeah, that's like Devin White. Look, when he was at his best, and John Spytek saw it in Tampa, right? I mean, that dude was a sideline to sideline wrecking ball. And I feel like that this defense has kind of freed him up after bouncing around a couple of different spots before landing here in Las Vegas. I think that this defense has freed him up to do what he does best, which is get out there and just make plays all over the place and be like a GPS to the football. And I think you're seeing some of his athleticism again be utilized here. And look, they're going to need it this week. Patrick Mahomes, again, like he's their leading rusher. He runs the ball more than anybody on that team. He's run for more yards than anybody on that team, more rushing touchdown. Like he is their leading rusher in every category, not to mention what he does in the pass game. So I think players like, Robertson, players like Devin White and Jeremy and like that whole group, they're going to be challenged this week in dealing with Mahomes, not only with the creativity as in the pass game, but when that turns to run, who's going to be there to pull him down. And I think this is where Devin White really does help this defense in those scenarios.
Yeah, it'll help to get some pressure from Maxx Crosby. We're going to sit down with him a little bit later.
Cool.
We'll take it. He's having a heck of a season. He's leading the NFL in tackles for loss. He's leading all defensive ends and passes defensed. I mean, he even got an interception. What makes the matchup with him and Patrick Mahomes always just such a chess match?
I think it's a great question that you ask, Amber. And I think with Max, he is on tilt 100%, like all the time. We know that every game, every day, every rep is pedal to the metal, right? Pedal to the floor. And I think these matchups, though, are what you live for as a competitor. Like when you've got, one of the best players in the world trying to beat you, and you're out there trying to, exceed that intensity on a play-to-play basis. Like this is what makes Max tick, right? Like these matchups, when it's good on good, when it's great on great, let's put it that way, right? Because that's what both these players are, Max and Patrick Mahomes. So I think that the competitor in him is unrivaled. And I think that's probably the same way that Patrick Mahomes feels. And so when you have two similar mindsets and similar elite skill sets, right, for their own respective positions, going at it, like that's why you see it. And look, I think Max feeds on that intensity, and that's probably why he has more sacks on Mahomes than any other player in Mahomes' career, with 6. So fired up for that matchup. I can't wait to see it get going here this weekend.
Well, they're going to have to stop him in the red zone because Patrick Mahomes is 70% inside the red zone since week 3 of this year. He's 14 of 20. The few teams, not many, but the few teams that can limit him when they have denied him in the red zone, what do they do well inside the 20?
Well, look, I think they have a good awareness of where he is on the field. And I think understanding where Travis Kelce is and understanding that there is, a flexibility that those guys have within the framework of their offense that sometimes might defeat your rules, right? Like you understand, like if you look at a formation, right, and the defense looking at this and they understand, where Travis, might go here, like there's an understanding of what, an offense is going to do. But those two guys are so elite in understanding how to defeat a defense in those scenarios that may be unconventional at times, that like, sometimes it's like, dang, we did everything we were supposed to do and they still won. They still won the rep. I think that's something to follow. And then, I think being able to run the football in the red zone is obviously a big deal. So they've done that pretty well. And Mahomes being able to do that in that area makes it all the more difficult to stop. And then you add in this week, Amber, that Rashee Rice is going to make his season, return. He's another guy that can be useful down in the red zone, there with Kelce and there with some of the other guys that we've seen utilized so far. I mean, this is a guy who had 79 catches and almost 1,000 yards as a rookie and didn't even really come on until the second half of the season. I mean, we haven't seen him in more than a calendar year, so I'm not going to say that this is like all of a sudden 100% peak Rashee Rice is going to be out there. It may take a minute, but it's just more that you have to deal with down there in the red zone included.
All right, finish the sentence. The Raiders will win if...
Maxx Crosby has 2 more sacks of Patrick Mahomes and ruins a couple more drives, because those are drive killers, right? No matter what. And then I think you control the clock. You keep so when you're watching the broadcast, Amber, and you're seeing ISO shots of Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, the Raiders are winning. Okay, so as many ISO shots of Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines is going to be a great deal for the Las Vegas Raiders in this scenario, because that means Ashton Genty's on the field, and that means Geno Smith is on the field, and that means Genty is running the rock and controlling the clock and shrinking the game and giving Patrick Mahomes less opportunities to do and create some of that magic that he has kind of rekindled this year. Like that, this was something. These are kind of the same questions and answers that we were asking about the Chiefs like 3, 4, 5 years ago. Amber, and it feels like they're kind of getting back to that, which of course makes them all the more dangerous. Look out for those ISO shots.
Yeah, you know who I don't want to see the ISO shot of? Taylor Swift, because if we see her, that means Travis Kelce got in the end zone.
That's right.
So,
That's a good point.
no Patrick, no Taylor. The Raiders will do great.
Yeah, shake that off.
Always great to hang out with you, Rhett, and congrats on your Hoosiers having a good football
Thank you.
season
Let's
over
go.
there. Yeah, a great season for Indiana. All right, thanks a lot, Rhett Lewis.
All
We
right.
appreciate you.
You got it.
All right, he is stacking up Defensive Player of the Year type numbers, but what does Maxx Crosby have to say about this matchup with the Chiefs? We're going to sit down with the All-Pro next.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Is there something more fabulous? I need something to chase, something to melt this face. I need Las Vegas. It's too much and never enough. Oh, welcome to fabulous. It's spectacular, outrageous, impossible stuff. You'll stop and yell, welcome to fabulous.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one? 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
Let's go win the game. Hey, we gotta stop. We're winning this. Come on. Hey, let's get it. Bring it up tight. Come on. Hey, let's go. Hey, we got nothing to lose. Go out there and fly and be yourself.
One of the best pass rushers in the league, no doubt about it.
Hey, let's go. 60 plus minutes. Gang on me. Gang on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Blocked up in the air and picked off by Maxx. Crosby to the near sideline at the 30. Oh, he's out of bounds at the 36. What an individual effort by the Condor. DK motions out to the left. Cam Ward gonna throw, trying to set up the screen. There's pressure. He's tipped and stopped. Maxx Crosby got him from behind. 2nd and 5. A run to Jonathan Taylor right to the arms of Maxx Crosby at the 32. He drops him for a loss of 2 on a beautiful get-off.
He is the best in the business. He is always achieving greatness. And Maxx Crosby joins us now. And I'll tell you, I know it feels good to get the win, but that was one win. You guys kind of quietly have this top 11 defense, run defense. Well, no, just defense. But I know you don't want to be top 11. You want to be number 1. So what does this team and the defense need to do better to even be ranked higher?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is just trying to block out all that extra noise. You know what I mean? We're only 6 games into it. We got a lot of work to do. We have a lot to improve on. So just taking it one day at a time and just focusing on where our feet are at, because when it's all said and done and when the season's over, we can look back and talk about where we rank and all that type of stuff. But right now, it doesn't matter. It's a new opponent. We're focused on the Chiefs, and that's all that we can focus on right now. Patrick
Graham, he deserves a lot of credit. What allows him to continue to put a competitive unit out there every single week?
Pat's been awesome. It's our 4th year together. It's crazy how time flies, but he's a football junkie. He does it all year round. We have a great relationship, and he puts everything into putting us in the best position possible. So nothing but respect for him, and there's a reason why he's the one calling our defense, because he's great at what he does.
You've been a team captain since 2021. You've been on a lot of Raiders teams, including one that went to the playoffs. Pete Carroll keeps saying things like, we're close. What are you both seeing in this group that makes you believe you really can turn this season around specifically?
Yeah, it is super early. We've had some close calls. I feel like if you look back, I always talk about being present, but there's moments you look back and like, damn, you know what I mean? We could have had that. We could have, played a little bit better here, and it could be, flipped around. We could be 4-2 right now. But the reality is our record's our record. But all we can focus on is stacking wins. And if we want to, Pete says all the time, if we want to, beat the best, if we want to be the best, we got to beat the best. So it doesn't matter who's on our schedule. We have to go out there and find ways to win. And that's what we're focused on doing. There's so much football left.
Yeah, it's early. We've heard a lot of players say year after year that you set the standard week in and week out. What would you define as the standard?
The standard is doing it every single day. I think it's a consistency of work. A lot of guys can do it sometimes, and I pride myself on doing it all the time, and not just for one off season or one season. I've been doing it for going on 7 years now. I put everything into it. I'm obsessive about my craft and about being a great leader and about being a great teammate. And those guys, I feel like they say that because I'm the same guy every single day. I show up and extremely passionate, and put it all on the line every day. And whether that's the weight room, the meetings, on the practice field, competitions, shooting competitions, whatever we do, I'm gonna go all in 100% because, if you have that competitive drive and that obsession with winning, I feel like it's contagious, and that's what I try to just, feed to my teammates.
Your little girl, we always talk about her every time we see each other. I tell you, she loves her daddy. I was sitting next to her on the sidelines. She was screaming your name on the sidelines. By the way, happy birthday to her. She just had a little birthday.
Absolutely.
I always like to let people see kind of the softer side to one of the baddest dudes on the planet. What is something that has kind of surprised you in being a girl dad that you do, that you're like, whoa, okay?
Honestly, I never knew I could love the way I love her. You know what I mean? She's... I don't even know how to, I can go on and on, but she just changed my perspective on a lot of things. She makes everything make sense, if that makes any sense. Our relationship is unbelievable. She's growing up so fast. It's sad at the same time because she's starting to really become a little girl, and she's talking and walking around and doing what she does. But there's nothing more special than that relationship. That daddy-daughter connection is unbelievable, and she's just, she's got all the personality in the world. And me and her, it's like I'm looking at a little mini girl version of myself. She loves singing music.
Like
she looks like me. She loves the music like me. She's super athletic and runs around, and it's just it's the coolest thing ever. So just me and Rachel are so blessed to have Ella in our life, and I can go on and on, talk about her all day, but she's number one.
It's like Maxx Crosby inspires others, and Ella Rose inspires Maxx Crosby,
100%,
right?
100%.
I gotta get a question about the game. You're going up against Patrick Mahomes, going into Arrowhead. How much focus? He's their leading rusher on the team right now.
Yeah.
How much focus has to be on discipline this week? And why is that easier said than done against Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, he's one of the greatest to do it, period. And so when you're going against a guy like that, he, provides a lot of challenges in a lot of different ways. And I think, it's just watching the film this year, he's been a little bit more aggressive, tucking the ball and running it. It's something that he's typically done in the playoffs more, but he's doing it now even in the regular season. And I feel like it makes it harder on defenses and stresses them out even more. So we already knew he's a good athlete, but when he really just decides to take off, you have to worry about not only pass rush, make sure the pass rush is coordinated, but making sure we're getting him on the ground and making sure everyone's staying locked in on the back end, because he's going to scramble to try to make plays. He's going to take off and do the whole nine. So he's an incredible competitor. He's an incredible player, and that's me and him have a special relationship because I feel like we're very similar in a lot of ways when it comes to just being obsessed with winning and that competitive nature where you refuse to lose, and he's one of those guys. So every time we see each other, we're both on that time for sure.
Well, we look forward to you going. I know you say it's just another game, but a win against the Chiefs in the division on the road really would set the tone for the rest of the season. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys get the win. Thanks for being with us, Max.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up, why a win Sunday could redefine the entire Raiders season. It's One Last Thing. Next.
Is there something more fabulous? I need something to chase, something to melt this face. I need Las Vegas. It's too much and never enough. Oh, welcome to fabulous. It's spectacular, outrageous, impossible stuff. You'll stop and yell, welcome to fabulous.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you. And so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one? 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Raider Nation, Week 7, playing those hated Kansas City Chiefs. This is the best part of the week for me. Here with my guy Link, we're going to break down some film, let you know what to expect against the hated Chiefs. And I'll tell you what, we have to find a way to prevent them from having the big plays. When we think about Patrick Mahomes, we think about him using this motion. Look at Travis Kelce talking to him like, hey, man, I think they're in man-to-man. Here, you have to find a way to prevent them from taking these big shots. This is what the Chiefs are all about. We'll see here, man, one-on-one, he's beat him over the top, and now Patrick's going to throw a great ball. We got to prevent him from doing this down in and down out. We'll show you from the backside, and this is what Patrick does great, right? We see the motion here, and it's the motion. Hey, it's not really telling us much. And what has to happen here is Patrick does a great job of keeping this safety in the middle of the football field so he's not helpful on this corner route. I mean, this is a great throw, great catch. One more time, Patrick Mahomes beats the safety with his eyes and his great accuracy.
The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com. And by Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Las Vegas Raiders and the NFL. Time now for one last thing. The Raiders-Chiefs rivalry dates back to 1960 when the AFL was started. They've always been in the same division, and recently the rivalry has been defined by two once-in-a-generation type of talents. Anytime Patrick Mahomes and Maxx Crosby square off, you know you are watching two of the greatest of all time. There's not a lot of love between the two, but there's a ton of respect.
He's the best. I mean, I think he's sacked me the most out of anyone I've ever played against.
Oh,
so,
really?
I mean, to me, he's the best pass rusher that I've played against. And so, no offense to any other pass rusher, just putting it out there. But he is the best one that I've went up against because he goes out there and he gives you the effort, he has the moves, and he has the skill. And I think that's hard to have all three of those and do that a year in and year out.
I mean, the only thing I could say is ultimate respect. You know what I mean? I know greatness when I see it, and I've been around a lot of greats. You know what I mean? I've been around some of the best athletes and players to ever play the game, and I know he's that. And every time I get to go out there, just the energy is different. I don't know how to exactly explain it, but it's been like that for a long time now. And so he knows what type of time I'm on. And I know what type of time he's on. And he's out there doing everything he can to help his team win, and I'm doing the same thing. So when you have two guys that are, I don't want to make it about just me and him. Obviously our teams have a lot of history going against each other as well. But every time me and Pat meet up, we're both on that type of time from start to finish. And it's ultimate respect, before the game, after the game, but between those lines, it's war. And I love it. Look forward to it every single time.
But as MLB Hall of Famer Frank Robinson once told me, a rivalry isn't a rivalry unless both teams are contenders. Both need to be fighting for something, and the Raiders haven't held up their end of the bargain recently. But Sunday is a chance to level up, and if they do, we'll be talking about a totally different season come Monday. That'll do it for us. It's Raiders-Chiefs from Arrowhead Stadium. Kickoff is set for 10 a.m. Pacific. Make sure to catch Raiders Game Day right here after the game. I'm Theoharis. Have a great weekend, everyone.